Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast, where we explore consciousness, creation, existence, and evolution through direct conversations with universal beings. Why? So we can access the truth of why we exist, why the universe exists, and what we're actually meant to be doing with our lives. Okay, so we are today, this right now is part 115 of the story of creation. So for the last year, we have been following this series and having conversations with universal beings at the request of the Creator. And again, these are conversations. They are real time when they're happening. This recording is occurring on February 26th, 2026. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. Ooh. And so ultimately, our goal with this series is to restore truth back to humanity of who we are and why we exist, our true origins, right? Because all of that information, it's funny, it hasn't been hidden because it can't be. But what they did do strategically was taught us that A, it's not real, and B, we can't access it. The two biggest lies in human existence, the two biggest psyops, if you want to call them a psyop, but they're lies. And what happens is these lies have created ultimately belief systems that are so strong that it has created a massive divide in human existence. And right now we see more than ever before believers and non-believers. And what I mean by that is believers of truth and those who are not yet ready. Okay. And we're at a place now in the resurrection of human existence where the difference is polarizing. And those on both sides cannot see where the other side is coming from. It's impossible. And so what's happening is it's creating more discontent in our relationships, but also in anything. But it's also creating a significant amount of distrust. Okay. So the Creator wants to share how trust came to be in the universe. Okay. He wants to give you an understanding of what trust is, not only as a universal experience, but as the human perspective and what it actually was created to facilitate is really the right words. So the control and manipulation of humanity, okay, the origins, and it originated really tens of thousands, more than 50,000 years ago, okay, if we're using time and space as our measure. Now, that being said, there are beings who were completely aware and 100% knew what was coming down the line, okay? Those humans chose to stay. They chose to hold the wisdom of human existence, and they needed a safe place to protect that wisdom, okay? Now, what I mean by a safe place is they needed a location. It had to be a physical location, okay, that was going to be completely free of any control or manipulation attempts, impact, side effects, like all of it. It had to be completely free. So the only place that they could go was into the earth. Now, you may be thinking, but it's so dark and it's not. And yet it is, okay? Because universal beings, which are you and I and everyone for the most part, minus the handful of those who are not, but we're not going to go there right now. We're talking about your origins. We're talking about human origins. And so what happened is these particular universal beings, they had the awareness, right? They had the knowing that this was their role. Okay. And so there's 24 of them. they're communicating right now. And they reside underneath the pyramids, yes, but they're great cities under, it's like the crust of the earth is the way they're showing me. Okay. And, I've been communicating with them for 15 years, and they're fascinating, but they don't live together like we've been taught. Humans live together in groups, and, we're all meant to do things together. These beings are not in isolation. They're having, you can feel the energy. Okay. It's a solitary exchange of consciousness with existence. And they're holding that aspect of existence until humanity is once again ready for it. So these 24 beings are holding, each one of them is holding one truth of human existence. Okay. Now, why did that even happen? Because they saw what's unfolding now. They knew it was coming because it had started. And they also knew the potential of the tidal wave that took over the conscious state of being of human existence. Okay. We talked a lot about that in part 114. So if you want more, I highly suggest you go back and watch part 114 of the story of creation. So what happened as a result is these beings live, right? So they're not just under the pyramids in Egypt, they're under the pyramids globally, because yes, there are pyramids all over the world. Okay. Yeah, they're quite fascinating. We're not going to get too much into that right now. They will be revealed even more. It's not just one location or two, they're spread, and they're quite dynamic in everything, in size, in purpose, and intent. That being said, underneath the pyramids, it's even greater because they're full cities. Now, cities, okay, universally do not look like cities in our society. Fundamentally different. A city in universal consciousness it's beautiful how they're showing me. It's a conscious exchange of energy that is self-sustaining on both sides. So those beings are being sustained by their relationship with everything in existence, including the earth, because they're living within her. Now, that being said, the earth is experiencing joy and fulfillment as a result of her relationship with them as well. Okay. That's how humans were created to exist. And these are in human form. I want to be very, very clear about that, because most people are like, oh, well, they could be down there in energy, or they're dead, or no, they're like you and I, walking around, skin, bones, all the things. And they've existed for over 50,000 years. Okay. Yes, I know that that's going to sound a little bit crazy and impossible if you believe everything we've been told, right? That humans live what? We're lucky if we live 100 years. Well, humans are self-sustaining. They're self-healing. They're self-regulating. They're self-governing. And ultimately, we have the capacity, right? We decide how long we're going to come into a life. So you could have lived a life that was already 50,000 years. It's no big deal, because at the end of the day, soul's universal energy is not limited by time and space. It's not limited by any physical ramification, physical decision, physical, determination. We're universal beings. We're determined, like our existence is determined by our intention, right? Intention becomes energy, becomes experience. And ultimately, if you want to have the highest experience, you just have to set the highest intention. It's really simple. But most people don't know how to do that. And ultimately, that's what we're doing with the story of creation, is we're building up your awareness of existence, of your own origins, and of your potential. Why? So that you can actually create intentions that are so strong and so pure and so aligned with universal existence that you can create anything you want. Anything. Nothing is off limits. How do you do that? Well, here's the really cool part. So the creator says when he realized that the manipulation had started, so you have to understand, he didn't create the manipulation. He has never created manipulation, right? So his intention, it's like that one song, there's a Benson Boone song, and it says, please God, don't take these beautiful things away. And it's one of those songs that, my son loves the song and the beat, and he loves to sing it. But every time I hear those words, God doesn't take anything away. We're not unworthy. We're not found unworthy. So we shouldn't be walking through life in fear that these things might disappear. It's allowing yourself to walk through life, recognizing that those experiences that you're having are because they're exactly a reflection of who you are being in the world, right? And that's the polarizing difference, right? That's what we've got. People who want to be in truth and people who want to not, who want to be in fear. That's a fear belief and it feeds it. And it's unfortunate because it's got such a good beat. I love it. But at the end of the day, the words don't line up to truth. And this is where we are right now as a human race. Okay? But the creator knew it was coming. And well, he saw it unfolding. Okay, so you have to understand, these humans, when they knew it was coming, they decided they chose, right, to go into the earth and hold these wisdoms. But here's the cool thing. The creator, as the manipulation has been unfolding, so he's had 50,000 years to watch how humanity reacts to control and manipulation. And to be quite honest, we really suck at it, because the first thing we do to hide from it is we fall into addictions. Whether it's mental, emotional, physical, it doesn't matter. But, it could be scrolling on your phone. That's a perfect addiction, because you're not in the moment. You're no longer conscious of what's going on in your space. You're scrolling. Your brain is active, right? Consciousness, a conscious state of being, cannot occur when your brain is active. And most people think consciousness is when your brain is fully aware. No, it's not. It's when your brain is completely off. That is how I have communication and conversations with universal beings. I have to turn my brain off at the beginning of every episode that we record. It's recorded in front of a live audience. I come in, we say hello, and then it takes me a few minutes. I literally have to come out of myself. So if my dogs bark, if the doorbell rings while I'm recording, I come out. So I have to go back in. What ultimately means I'm not going back into the connection. I'm leaving my brain to the side. It can't come with me to get truth, because it has an opinion, it has a perspective, it has fears. So it doesn't deserve a seat at the table, is ultimately how it works. But here's the really cool thing. So once the creator understood the level of manipulation, but how it had impacted humanity's self-worth, he knew we were going to need to rebuild. Okay. So it's understanding that humans aren't broken, but we do need to heal. We need to come back to that place where we have full recognition of self, because we don't. Right? We're all caught up in our minds all the time, trying to figure everything out based on what somebody else said, what we read, what we heard, what happened 10 years ago, what happened 50 years ago. And we're still trying to figure our stuff out. Okay. And so the creator had full awareness and recognition that this was unfolding and occurring. And he needed to create an energy that would bridge that gap, because humanity came in with full awareness. We had full awareness of all 9 of the fundamental energies of existence. So truth, compassion, love, respect, purity, joy, truth. I probably already said truth. balance, movement, and illumination. And what happened was they didn't block those energies from us because nobody can control the universe. Just hear that for a minute. Nobody can control the universe. But you know what can be controlled? Your mind. Your mind. The human mind is easily manipulated when you create a dynamic where there's a lack of self-worth. And so what happened is the creator recognized that he needed to create a universal energy. So not just because all the human energies that they're using against us, judgment, fear, anger, resentment, those are not universal. So if every single being, right, human being, because universal beings don't use any of those energies, it's just the human experience who we've been trained to use them. But if every human being in existence for one moment did not focus on them, we completely were focused on one of the 9 fundamentals, doesn't matter which one, anyone, but those energies would cease to exist. The challenge is that we've been trained to be addicted to fear, addicted to judgment, addicted to resentment. Now you're starting to see it, right? It's coming clearer. So what happened is the creator realized we were going to need an energy that was going to bring us back. An energy that would create an opportunity to recenter us, to refocus us, so that when we were feeling overwhelmed, because that's what happens in any addiction, you are overwhelmed and you can't get out of the cycle that you're in. And that's how the energy of trust came into being, universal trust. Okay? Trust is the bridge between truth and lies. If you want to allow yourself to embody truth, you're going to need to make friends with trust. It's magic. If you want to learn more, I did write about the process of all the 9 fundamentals, but also the creation of trust is also in here, in Believe, if you're interested in it completely from the universal perspective. And so trust was designed to give you the opportunity to reincarnate in the same life. How cool is that? It's literally, it's like a free pass, a free ticket. You know, people talk about walk-ins all the time, but trust is the opportunity to stay in your life, stay with the people you love, and yet get a new start. A new start with the ability to access every aspect of universal existence, exactly how you were created to. Pretty awesome, right? So how do you do it? How do you connect with trust and allow yourself to bridge and come back to who you are, who you were created to be? And so the creator says it begins with an open heart. It begins with an intention to allow yourself to see the truth. We talked a lot about truth in part 114. And he wants you to go back, he wants you to watch that, and then come and watch this again. Why? Because you're going to have a completely different understanding of what truth is. So that when you set your intention to reconnect with truth, you're not going to have a chip on your shoulder of what you think truth is and why everybody else doesn't get it. It's understanding that you're sitting, standing, being in front of the greatest and biggest opportunity of your life. And trust has the power to take you all the way through. That opportunity is you finally being able to actually fulfill your reason for existence, the reason you came into this life, your purpose, your higher calling, all of those things that you have been searching for strategically for years. Sometimes it's going to feel even like lifetimes. You've been waiting for everybody else to catch up. But here's your chance. Because it's recognizing that you're not here to lead them. You're here to lead yourself. And in doing so, you become a leader of humanity. Not because you're here to lead others, to help them, to tell them what to do. You aid existence. You feed evolution, right? The evolution of human existence. You feed that by being the first one. That's what a leader is. A leader is not someone who tells everybody else what to do. A leader is someone who does it first. Who does it first. Why? Because leadership is about recognizing your sovereignty. And sovereignty has nothing to do with anybody else. Your sovereignty isn't about you being better than anyone else. Your sovereignty has nothing to do with you being better than the control and manipulation system that's here. Your sovereignty is a recognition of your existence, why you exist, the power that created you. Like, feel that for a minute. This is there's a whole universal council. There's tons and tons of universal beings, tons, like millions, billions. And they are just holding this space, holding this energy for you to feel and recognize that your existence came from the greatest power in existence. The power that created existence itself created you. And it's time. This is your opportunity to recognize that. And trust allows you to not only recognize it, but to act and react in every single experience and situation and conversation and emotional relationship that you have. It allows you to act with trust. It's not faith. Faith is, I believe in you. I have faith in you. I have faith in myself. It's not, it's like a feather. It's like light and fluffy, and it kind of floats on the wind. And it's like, mate, I have faith in you. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I have faith in you. Trust is, I recognize my sovereign existence in the universe. And I recognize that there is a force that I have the capacity to tap into. Should I choose to want to participate in the unfolding of that experience for me, but also for the universe. It's reciprocal. And trust is what allows you to surrender to your higher power. Because you know what happens when you surrender? You become powerful. Surrender is not weakness. It's not submitting defeat or admitting defeat. Surrender is recognition. You don't need to control anything. You don't need to manipulate it in hopes that it'll work out the best that it can. No. No. Surrender is recognizing that you are part of the greatest exploration in existence. This universe has more diverse opportunities and experiences than any other universe in existence. We're not going to go into that right now. I know you're going to have tons of questions about all of that, but we got to explore this universe first. But it's important to understand that that's why other universal beings from other universes come and play here. They come and try to manipulate here. Why? Because what we're doing is fascinating. It's not being done anywhere in existence. And you have the ability to tap into it. The only problem is you think you're crazy for having that feeling. You know, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're flying, you wake up in the middle of the night and you're a leader and you're a king or queen, you're sovereign, you're leading humans, and you wake up and you're like, oh, that was a crazy dream. No, that's your soul talking to you. That's your soul reminding you of your sovereignty. Maybe you're waking up and you were in a forest full of animals. You had no fear. With all the wild animals we've been taught to fear and run away from. But you were there with them. Zero fear. Because you knew them. You knew their essence. They knew you. The reality is your dreams hold messages. And it's time to start listening to them. It's not about the people in your dreams. It's not about the symbolism in your dreams. Please don't do that. Your dreams are messengers from your soul. They're actually your soul communicating with you. Why? Because that's what you do when you go to sleep. You literally, it's like recharging your phone. You're recharging yourself into your soul. That's what happens when you sleep. That's why when we're medicated, right? When our sleep comes from medication or from alcohol or drugs, what happens is we don't get to recharge because we're not, and I'm not saying go off all your medications. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying see if there's times where you can find sleep. Maybe during the day you have a nap when it's not medicated. Just try it, okay? But here's the point. And the major point I want to make is your dreams are they're bypassing your brain. It's plugging back into your soul and going around your brain because when you're sleeping, your brain is turned off. It doesn't have a say. And that's why when you wake up, you're like, ah. So now when you wake up, I want you to recognize how you felt in your dream. Maybe you were being chased, just as an example, okay? So when you wake up, I don't want you to go, oh, I was scared. And that's not what I'm asking you. If you're being chased, what do you feel? So it's recognizing, where are you being chased? Are you being chased down a hallway and you can't get into a door and you feel like, all the doors are closed and you don't know which one to go into. So you're not sure which one. Maybe your dreams are designed strategically to give you messages on what you're currently working on. Okay. So when you wake up, lay there for a minute before you even open your eyes. If you can, you can open your eyes too. That's fine. But it's understanding and recognizing that the longer you stay in the energy, the more awareness of the dream you're going to have. And you know what that means? That means you're using trust. You're staying in the energy and you're feeling, right? You're feeling what's going on. You're actually surrendering to, I just got a message. That's what you're participating in. And you're laying there and you're like, I know my soul was talking to me. What was my soul saying? And it's brilliant. In our private community, we have conversations. We've been doing this for 5 years. We have conversations about dreams all the time. Members come in and they're like, I dreamed about this last night. And then we talk about it because it's never what you think it is, because your brain will go, oh my gosh, I'm dreamed about someone, that I was, in a relationship with 20 years ago. And now I'm married to someone else and we're going through a rocky time. And I'm thinking maybe I'm supposed to leave my person and go back to this person. No, that's what your brain will tell you, okay? But what your soul has is a message that's greater because it's about the situation you're currently in. And so if you want me to help you with your dreams, you got to share them in the comments below because I will 100% do my best to answer everybody. And yeah, the more you share, the more I can share. So it's also, again, surrendering, right? I know it's a public forum, but here's the reality is when you share, other people learn from you. And guess what that is? That's leadership. That's leadership. When you share the intimate aspects of who you are without fearing, without needing to strategically shape it and form it, which is control, right? So that people don't think this or people don't think that. The reality is, in our community, there is no judgment. We have conversations about everything, judgment free. Why? Because every single person in the authentic human community is completely focused on becoming who they're meant to be. There is no room for judgment. We don't hold that space here. And so, it's understanding and recognizing that when you share, your experience triggers wisdom in someone else. It triggers an experience that will help them remember more of their soul's wisdom, more of their own experiences. I see it happen every single day in all of our different communities here at the Authentic Human. It's unbelievable. And that's what makes us brilliant. That's why we're co-creating the future together. So if you want to join, it's great. Just put your comment, put your dream below. And I will reply. I will do my absolute best to share universal wisdom. So share it from your heart. The more you share from your heart, the more I can share back with you. Okay? But it's remembering your dreams are strategically designed by your soul. They're not based on symbolism. You don't have to look them up in a book. You have to lay there and feel the energy of the experience you're having. So if you're scared, what is it you're actually scared of? Feel the fear. Is it because I don't know which way to go, or I do and I'm not sure what's going to happen when I get there? But you have to go all the way into it. The energy will always tell you. And this is what I mean about the difference between energy and feelings. Feelings is, oh, I'm scared. I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. Nope, that's not true. Energy says, I'm not sure which direction to go. I felt myself looking in different directions and I was unsure. See the difference? Feelings, right? Feelings are the truth. Emotions are all about the mind. I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. That doesn't tell me anything. So go into the energy, feel it, and then I can give you messages from your soul in the universe about what your message or about what your dream was for you. Okay. So ultimately, the whole point, like the creator, he's back. All the universal beings are very present. Back is in his voice again. And he wants to share with you. He says, I have a little story of wisdom that will help you relate to trust in an entirely different way. Okay. So he says, I created trust in order to break you free from the dilemmas in your mind. Okay. You don't need to be broken free from the illusion that they've created for you because it doesn't even exist. So you don't need to break free from something that doesn't exist. And if you keep focusing on its existence, you can't actually break free of it, right? So if you're walking around thinking, I got to break free from this mass control and manipulation, you're never going to get out of it because you're focused on the control and manipulation. So it's coming back to the truth and then recognizing your role in existence, not your role in society. And that's the problem. Most people are thinking about their role in society. What's my job going to look like? How is this going to look in my personal relationships? How's this going to look with my family and my friends and blah, 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 blah. That's not truth. That's a human perspective. And if you keep holding on to them for fear of what they're going to look like, you will never come back to universal truth, because universal truth understands and recognizes every human that is meant to go with you on your journey. You don't need to worry if they're going to be there or if they're going to be taken care of. All of that, it's settled for you. It's all taken care of. As long as you're looking at your life and your existence from a universal perspective, all the pieces fall into place exactly how they're supposed to. But the only way you can participate in that level of existence is by trusting that that level of existence is exactly what's really going on. And that's the trust. Give it a shot. Let me know how it's working. And I will see you next time for part 116 of the story of creation. And thanks. I'm Michelle Vickers. This is the Authentic Human Podcast. I'll see you soon.